Hey Libras, how y'all doing? Welcome. We're going to be doing your March general reading here. So let's talk about your meditation. It was brief, but rather lovely. Very highly imagistic for sure. So I saw a billboard at a movie theater, right? Like a marquee type deal, with a bunch of glittering lights, and it felt like a premiere. And I saw that on the marquee it read Libra next chapter, right? And then I was taken to like a big storybook, but here's where it gets really interesting. A storybook, the Libra storybook as it were, quite large, and then I saw you guys sitting down with it, but instead of opening to the first page like you normally would when reading a book, went right to the middle. Right to the middle. And I saw that on the middle page it said, "And so it begins, ellipses." It was interesting because I was very drawn to the fact that it started right in the middle. And then I heard a song that I have not thought about or listened to in a really long time. It's a lesser known one. It's by John Mayer, and the song is called Tracing. I have no idea if you'll even be able to find it because I think it was like an unreleased or a limited released cut from like when he first started out. So it's really interesting it's coming up. But a particular line in that song goes, "Do you ever get the feeling that we started in the middle?" Do you ever get the feeling that we started in the middle? So it's interesting because that's a feeling that I got, but there was also this accompanying distinct feeling of you guys, there's a lot, it may have seemed at certain times in the recent past where things were moving along at either a standstill or a slower pace or stopping and starting and this kind of deal. But the feeling that I get with this, the energy that we're looking at for March for y'all, is it's not just that you're off and running and it's a fresh new energy that feels very invigorated and revitalized and just really wonderfully energetic and promising, but it feels as though it happens as a bit of I almost want to say a surprise. Or it's like, whoa, I feel like I was here and then a week later I'm in a completely different place and suddenly, boom, it's like all the doors open at once when previously they were closed. Or previously you were like pushing them open, creak, and they're just boom, swinging open. And it feels like that's the energy for y'all for March. And it feels really lucky and wonderful actually. So it feels like you're in for a big change that's quite positive. I feel like what it's going to come down to, what it's going to come down to is your ability or your willingness to adapt to, changing circumstances, right? Because even when things are going at a bit more slow pace or it feels like a standstill or doors are closed or you're hearing more no's than yeses or you're hearing more not nows, whatever have you, when a quick change happens, even if it's something that's inherently positive, it can still be difficult because it's a quick change. And as humans, it's counterintuitive, right? We don't naturally adapt well to like, oh, it's a quick change, even if it's positive. Okay? So just putting that out there. The beaver, I'm so obsessed, and this is making so much beautiful sense. First of all, I'm very much drawn to this yellow here, like it was in the marquee that I saw with the twinkling lights, above the movie theater there. Love it. So the beaver is such a beautiful energy because it equates to the 8 of Pentacles. So let's talk about the 8 of Pentacles. This is really cool, Libra. So the 8 of Pentacles, the tagline for that key is hard work meeting up with talent. When hard work meets up with talent or skill, right? I guess skill is something that is, talent put to good use or whatever have you. But anyway, this is that if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready type vibe, like a la RuPaul. See this state of readiness on the beaver's face, like, oh, I'm ready. There's this aspect of balance, work, and play, but this is like the dam has been built, and so that's secure unless I'm ready for whatever happens or comes next, because I know that everything that has come before has been, tended to. So it's interesting here that I saw the storybook start in the middle, and it was like, boom, right? And then we have the beaver here, which is about getting to work, doing the work, getting on with it, right? 8 is also the number of monetary value and financial abundance and benefit as well, right? That infinity symbol as well. Same with the magician key, right? As above, so below. You'll always have, right, access to whatever it is that you desire and need. It's really just about you and the decisions that you do or do not make in accordance with that potential energy, right? The Beaver is such a great sign. Also, another aspect of Beaver can definitely be about physical work, getting to work. The Beaver personality type can really only enjoy their evenings if they put in a hard day's work, right? It's about the balance of both, right? Like nothing is better than having a cool drink after a long day. That's the Beaver's, credo, so to speak. Another aspect of Beaver energy, though, is self-work. Having done the self-work. And I feel like for you guys, because I'm seeing the image of a river, right, with this beaver here, a lot of that is practicing allowance. And what I mean by that is we can say like, come into a state of allowance, but listen, as humans, we are resistant to change. Allowance is a practice skill. And that's just what it is. Like, it's a practice skill. And that's what I'm getting for you guys. Oh, whoa. On the bottom of this completely different deck is King of Cups with the beaver. Ooh, I love it for you, Libra. So first up here, just water for my Libras, which rule the realm of feelings and intuition, right? Which is really cool. So Knight of Cups, I'm really obsessed with this because this is the blue-footed booby, I believe this bird is called. And this is about... It's not just about doing what you love to do and engaging in work that is very fulfilling, but it's also about you being recognized and also, recognizing within yourself what you uniquely, in particular, are good at and should be recognized for within your unique self, right? And that comes from the blue feet here, right? That's a very unique look to this bird. This is an actual bird, right? This very unique look. And so I feel like there's an aspect here of you honoring and or being honored for your unique contribution to the work that you do, or you being in a relationship that you're finding the great value, right? And the more unique attributes of your partner, yourself, or the dynamic that you create together. And so it's really beautiful here. I'm also really drawn to the blue. Again, there's a lot of water. This aspect of using your words, right? And being mindful about how you communicate ideas or desires. Okay, that's coming up here for you too. But good Lord, it feels like you've definitely been through some stuff in the recent past, Libra. And it does feel like you're getting to a place where it's like it appeared to be stop and start progress. It appeared to be a certain way, and then suddenly it looks very different. But it's work that's been accrued as a result of, leading up to this point, right? Nothing ever really happens all at once. It just appears to be that way. At the bottom of this deck, we have 8 of Pentacles. So there's just a lot of same cohesiveness going on, and I'm here for it. So here we have the 5 of Wands. Really fascinating here because remember, the Wands rule the realm of the actions that we take, our desires, our passion, our artistry, all of that good stuff, right? The 5 is the number of change, and change is run all throughout this reading, right? The 5 of Wands, traditionally speaking, however, look at that water well in the back, right? This has to do with competition or feeling a certain sense of, push and pull or discomfort within yourself, but particularly within a group dynamic. That's what 5 of Wands is, right? So yes, on one hand, this can be an internal struggle. This is the opposite of peace of mind. 5 of Wands is, right? Or within a group dynamic, there's a lot of, putting oneself before the good of the group. That's the 5 of Wands aspect of this as well. I feel like you're being called to look at aspects of either your personal life, well, sometimes it's everything, right? But personal life and or work life, back to these pentacles here, that are sources of a lot of effort, right? And don't necessarily give you the same returns as the effort you put into it. Are you getting what you give? Are you getting back what you put in? That question is coming to mind for you. And it feels quite important, right? I feel like in some ways you're gonna be like, yeah, I get back what I give in this context. Or in others it might be, you know what? No. And doesn't mean it's not a good situation or a good work fit or a good relationship or whatever have you. But it could mean that there's room for improvement. And that's also going back to the beaver with putting in the work and how sometimes that work is doing the work, as in, self-work. Wow, 2 for 1, and I'm here for it. So you've got Knight of Pentacles and the Star. Woo! I love this Aquarius energy. We are in the age of Aquarius, right? Going into Pisces season. You know, Knight of Pentacles here is a really lovely, lovely energy. And I'm going back to the beaver as well, because while the beaver is a water energy, it's also associated with with earth, right? Because it straddles, you know, land and sea. Well, not sea, but river. Land and river. So it's interesting. This Knight of Pentacles is a very sturdy, very stalwart, very reliable energy here, right? It is a court card, so this absolutely could be representation of you or someone in your atmosphere. But I am really drawn to the fact that it's a Knight of Pentacles, which is the slowest moving knight out of all the knights, right? And we were talking about something that appears to be slow or going a certain pace, and then it really speeding up. It feels like more like a jump, though, than a speed up, right? Because I went to the middle of that book, right? And with the star energy here, again, Aquarian energy, this is wish fulfillment. This is divine hope, divine faith, divine love, illumination. Whenever the star comes up, this is saying, you know, hang in there. Know that the North Star is shining, whether or not you can see it or feel it at a given point in time, right? This is about that light and illumination in the darkness, right? You know, this also speaks of the flip side of wish fulfillment as well. So those of you who are working towards a certain set of goals around work or partnership, or you're thinking about, you know, what you want long term, or, you know, etc., etc., there is an aspect where you're being asked to consider very carefully, right, what that will require of you. And I have to tell you, change. I feel change throughout this whole reading, because I always say this, you know, about the Aquarian key, and especially when it comes up in this deck with the oyster, right? Because this pearl is formed out of sand, foreign particles, right? Trying to make it their way into this oyster, and this is a defense mechanism. So the pearl is a defense mechanism, right? Which is interesting. And that does speak of the other aspect of wish fulfillment, which is, why do we say, like, be careful what you wish for, you just might get it? Because your wish requires that change occurs, right? You wish for something and then change happens, right? Because you're wishing for something that isn't yet happening or present or reality. So there's something around this. I feel like you are being called to consider your relationship to change, right? And what ways are you resisting and what ways are you flowing with it, right? But also your relationship to, you know, your own emotional life and body, and your feeling of foundation, your home life, right? Because Beaver is very much about home life, building that dam so that it's, you know, there and acting as a source of, because if you think about it, the beaver building that dam, that's also something that the beaver is very particularly and uniquely good at, right? So that's a very special skill that the beaver has that, say, you know, the blue-footed booby does not have, right? But yet we got this like unique skill with the blue-footed booby as well. So there's something about that, about coming clear or really considering how you may be able to use your unique attributes or talents, right, to a greater extent or to a more fulfilling extent, right? So fascinating here. It's a lot of water in this reading. Two of Swords here to clarify the blue-footed booby. So I'm obsessed with this because, first of all, it's like, yes, right there. But also the Two of Swords here. The Two of Swords is about taking a moment. Sometimes it's a long pause. Sometimes it's a series of pauses. But this is about taking time out to gather all of the information available to you at your disposal before moving forward and taking action and making a decision, right? And this is something that's done on the mental plane. But for me, Two of Swords is very much about bringing together your mind and your heart for counsel. But doing it deliberately, having a seat and going, okay, mind, okay, heart, what do you have to say? Okay, what do you have to say? Do you want to take the floor? What do you have to say? And bringing them together for counsel and really listening to them both equally, right? I feel like there is an aspect of yourself that is, and it could be a higher aspect if this isn't in your, you know, direct consciousness, but it could be subconscious that I'm picking up on. But there's an aspect of you that is being drawn towards either more emotionally fulfilling work or a more emotionally fulfilling relationship with yourself or your current partnership. But it does feel like it's a bit in need of hydration. Because I got that with the Five of Wands, because it feels very parched, right? In need of hydration. And this can happen a lot of different ways. Maybe there's an imbalance in play where you're working a little too much and not engaging in enough self-care or play, right? Perhaps it's reverse. Perhaps it's a lot of self-care and play, but the work wants to be done as well, right? So I do feel like there's a call to balance. And again, it feels like a need of hydration. That hydration being emotional fulfillment, whatever way, shape, or form. And I want to say emotional engagement as well. Five of Wands. Yeah. Strength. Here we go. Musk ox realness. It's the year of the ox, by the way. The Chinese zodiac. So it's cool that this is coming up. So fascinating. So strength here. So traditionally speaking, strength comes up when strength is needed, right? It's just when things are a bit challenging, you can't necessarily, see the way forward as well. You just know that all you can do is put one hoof in front of the other, so to speak. This also speaks of, pulling on your past reserves of strength in order to get you through. I feel like the end point here is the book that we saw flipping open to the middle. And it's just about allowing yourself to, I want to say, not just enjoy the process of getting to where you're going, but being mindful about what is and is not working, about what can use improvement, about, what you're lacking, or what, how are you living up to your own ideals of your life, right? And another way to look at that is, and not to get too morbid, but if you were to die tomorrow, how would you feel about your current job? How would you feel about your current relationship? Would you feel like, yeah, I did that. Yeah, I'm real proud of that work. Yeah, I made my piece of the world better than how I found it. It feels like the time to be really deeply considering these things. And I do feel like part of the reason is because it's going to be taking these things into consideration that are going to be allowing the energy to flow towards you for change, which it's not a quick fix, but it feels like it's just enough of a shift in perception and an awareness that allows you to jump forward into a position that feels very emotionally fulfilling, very spiritually aligned, right? And also financially secure. How lovely is that? Also the strength key here. Look at all this load this musk ox is carrying on its back. Like I was saying before, this also speaks of the strength reserves that you've built up over the course of your lifetime. Means every time that you've had to be strong before, you know how they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger? Well, there's a big truth in that, meaning that every time that you grew strength, that you dug within yourself and did that, it's always there at your disposal to call upon, right? When you need it again. That's the beautiful thing about it. It never goes to waste, which is why, we can be thankful and grateful for the times that we knew pain and loss and heartache and defeat and fear, because it gave us those reserves of strength for later down the line, because we understand that part of life is challenge, where strength will be needed, right? I feel like for some of you guys, I'm really getting a deep feeling about the home, because I'm getting the beaver, the 5 of 1, the strength here with the whole, looks like he's got his whole house on his back type deal, or her back, right? There's something about the home here. I feel, and I feel like it could be one of two things. I feel like on one hand, there's some of you who work so much, it's like your home. Like you live where you work, you have like a work husband or a work wife or a work, right? You're being really asked to reconsider those dynamics and see where there might be room for improvement if it's feeling a bit barren or it's not feeling entirely reciprocal. For others of you, and this work is more equated to the self-work, right? The personal soul evolution, you're being asked to really consider how you go about moving through challenges, obstacles, transitions, right? Not everything has to be full of effort and full of angst and full of, dramatics or worst case scenario thinking, I would even say is a better term for it, right? You're being really asked to reconsider how you approach these things and how you respond to stimuli that is not altogether positive. Okay? There's a lot of room for growth in that. And this is just like, it's funny, it's the way that it's coming across. It's like, this is the energy that is available. Yes, exactly. This is the energy that is available. And this is how Spirit is coming forward to go, okay, here are the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s and sort of a byway map of how you can work with the given energy in order to land in a place or jump to a place that feels really, really good and in alignment, right? So it's really lovely. Empress. This is so perfect. The Empress, too. I love that you have the Star and the Empress here together. So the Empress is about happy expectation. It's about birthing new conditions, right? Because the Empress is pregnant, right? With this beautiful Scottish Highland cattle, right? This is about believing in something before you see it. It's about that happy gestation period. This is about, like I said, like this is newness. And remember what I saw? It felt very new with that opening marquee, right? And so it begins, and then we're jumping into something, and suddenly there's like, what? And look at the mirror imagery here with the pearl inside, and then the pregnancy going on here, and the reveal. There's a lot of security and emotional, how do I say this? Emotional foundation, fluidity, happiness, security on the other side of, releasing either aspects of yourself or your current situation in whatever way this resonates that are filled with more negativity or drama or effort than is needed. How can you simplify your situation? I feel like is your question. How can you simplify to succeed? Or how, it's a bit corny, but how can you simplify to soar even, right? Simplify to soar. That's what it feels like. You're being asked to simplify. You're being asked to take an honest assessment of your heart and your head about, are your unique skills being put to use in the highest and best way? How is that coming into play or not, right? And just being really honest with yourself around that. Taking that honest and accurate assessment with and for yourself. Because life is too short to be here and just, punching on the clock without doing work that is fulfilling or being in partnerships or work relationships or environments or familiar environments, right? That don't serve you and cause you more to come from a place of obligation rather than privilege or pleasure. Okay? And that you're being asked to really consider right now. And it's going to align you beautifully to something that is highly positive and does not feel like work. That's what I want to say to you, because that's what I keep getting. It's like you're being aligned to a position or place that just doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like it's difficult, right? Do you ever hear that saying where it's like, oh, I never knew that, it could feel so easy, or it could just feel like not work at all. It just feels like play or whatever have you. That's what I'm getting here. The opportunity and the invitation that you are being, gifted with this third position here of the Knight of Pentacles, the Star, and the Empress. It's really lovely. And the path ahead is just release what's not working, but in order to do so, get very clear about what that is, right? Okay, how many times have I said that there is water all over this reading? Like so much water, right? Let's talk about this briefly, because whenever there's a lot of water, you're being asked to feel your way into and through something, right? Consciously, actively, through meditation, through mindful walks, through tapping into those emotions. And my beautiful fellow air signs, I understand that this can be a bit of a, also depending on what your other placements are, but this can be a bit of a, conscious effort. Because as air signs, we love the realm of the mind. Ask us to think through something and it's like, okay, I could do that, right? But feeling our way through something, it can take a little bit more conscious effort. And then also that finding that place of clarity where our ego, right, has to step aside in order for us to gain access to clear feeling, which is just another way of saying gaining access to our intuitive knowing, right? Because our intuitions are, that's the gas, or rather the emotions are the gas that fuel the intuition, right? That's the gas that makes the intuition work. So if our emotions are askew, or if you haven't, taken some time to really balance those in a while and click in with yourself from an emotional sphere, whether that's through self-care or talk therapy or, taking mindful walks where you're able to just click in and get centered, then your intuition is not able to work for you in the same way. I feel like you're being asked to take your emotions to the body shop. And again, there is no one right or wrong way to do this. And it's just so that you are in a place where you have access to all the information available to you via your intuition, to where you are able to land in a position that is a huge upgrade from where you currently are in some way, shape, or form. You know, also going back to the star energy with the Aquarius energy, that's the seer of the zodiac, your fellow air sign there. That's the seer, the visionary, the psychics of the zodiac, right? So it's interesting that it's coming forward in this way for you. But at the end of the day, like I said, there's no right or wrong way to achieve this. And look at, she's completely zen, meditating with doves, which represent divine, eternal love, happy, successful partnerships. And look how she's like in the water, but in air, like halfway in, halfway out. Do you remember what I said with this Two of Swords, bringing together your mind and your heart? That's what she's doing here as well. Water and air. And again, this can be done a lot of different ways. I'll tell you if it's helpful. How I achieve this as a fellow air sign, I'm an Aquarius, right? So how I achieve this, my darling fellow air signs, is when I feel the need to take my, emotions to the body shop, as it were, I journal. That's what I do. I meditate and then I journal. And it just helps me to move aside a lot of the, how do I put this? The crud, the egoic crud, but it's really the fear that can kind of get in the way and cloud my feelings, right? Because sometimes my past pain is affecting how I see something. And that's because my emotions have not been, I almost said dealt with. That's such an air sign perspective, right? It would deal with the emotions. No, but this feels more like when we're able to show the same kind of attention, right, and commitment to our emotional body as we are the realm of our mind, the more balance that brings, the more balance that invites, and we're able to make decisions that are coming from a place of alignment and love, as opposed to making choices out of fear. And when there are aspects of our past or our present that have not been healed and brought into the light for healing and understanding, then we run the danger of making choices that are based in, fear and past pain. And then we wonder, why do I keep living these same cycles over and over? Why does this pattern keep repeating? Why do I keep attracting the same person? Why do I keep attracting the same kind of boss? That's because you haven't quite learned that lesson yet, which means you're being asked to bring that to mind. Ask the question, why do I keep attracting the same XYZ? Or why do I keep coming up against this same XYZ? And it's not even about putting any pressure or expectation on yourself to come up with the answer right away. Sometimes it's really as simple as being brave enough to just ask the question and then live in that question. And sometimes just doing that will allow the path to clear and transform for you. And this is not easy work. I'm not even going to sit over here and be like, oh, it's just an A, B, C and a 1, 2, 3. Right? But it has transformative potential that is going to take you from where you are and quite literally land you into a different positioning where you are manifesting in a different way and feeling really good about it as well. Okay, Libras? All right, you got this. This is your March general reading. I so hope that this helped and resonated. If so, please let me know in the comments below. I absolutely love reading your comments. And with that being said, just thank you. Thank y'all so much for being here. And as always, and most of all, thank you for being you. And be well. Until next time.